So the chosen topic of documentary or short video that I wanted to look into was the Brazil and the current situation there revolving around the World Cup. This is for the kind of the non-football, the non-sport side to it, just about everything that's happening. And so I chose this because it was current. It was something that was going on now, and then quite a lot when people are talking about Brazil and the World Cup, they keep talking about its background, and this has been brought up more in recent years than a lot of the other places that have hosted such sporting events. And so when London had the Olympics a few years back, there wasn't, people were annoyed about how much that was being spent on the the Olympics, but with Brazil, because with the Olympics and Britain, all of these stadiums were already built, but Brazil has had to build all of these from scratch, on these deadlines, and there's been incidents such as workers dying on the building of these stadiums that a lot, and also just how much is spent that all of these kind of riots and things have happened, and so it's we're watching the World Cup, but we're only being told what's happening, what's going on outside of that. So this is a short 6-minute long documentary that gives us an insight into the favelas, or kind of slums of Brazil.
We're probably not going to watch all 6 minutes, Archie, so
No,
can you show us
no.
a little bit and then we'll stop it when you're ready.
World Cup. Everyone wants it.
Questa è cocaina misturata, sì?
Then add the secret ingredient.
Adrenalina.
And that's the recipe for one of the biggest businesses in Rio, with his own private army to protect this multi-million-dollar operation.
These guys, they sell 2 kilos of cocaine a day, and next year for the World Cup, they're expecting to double that.
It took us weeks of talking to the gangs before we were allowed to film here.
Eles são covardes, eles só entram quando tá cheio de morador, o cara vai atrás de madrugada. Eles entram de madrugada, vai escutar muito tiro.
So this is just a short part of the documentary, but what it does, it's fairly biased in that just this first instinct of when you look at it, that immediately it's quite biased and that it's looking into drugs in Brazil, which is showing the negative side to it, because right at the start of the video it talks about Brazil having two sides and that they want to show their good side for all of these toys and these attractions and such events, but that this person wanted to look into the bad side of Brazil, and it's something that we know about, but to actually go to talk with these drug dealers who are doing cocaine, it's just on a different level, really, because we've no idea what it's like, and so to get the view from them, not just about the drugs, but also the view from what they think on the kind of the society and the whole police, because this is kind of a multi-section video, and that this part just looks at the all of the drugs that are going on, but later on, this is just one perspective, but later on it asks, it looks into the police, about them trying to make the favelas peaceful. I can't remember the specific term, they use for pacification. But they follow the police and what they did, but they don't get a good general insight into their opinion. Obviously, they've got to do their job and try and go out and do what they're aiming to do. But then afterwards, they can talk to them or beforehand what they're hoping to do. But they don't get much of an insight into what the police think, and so how they respond to how the drug society views them. But then also it takes a look at a few people, or just specifically one person, and about two people perhaps, talking about their view on whether they prefer the police or whether they prefer these kind of small drug societies. And that in the one person that does ask, he says that he actually prefers the drug society because it's more peaceful for the people living there, and the police are constant problems to them. But so how it presents the truth, it attempts to present the truth in many different ways, but at the same time it doesn't. So one way it presents the truth is by getting both sides of the perspective, from talking to the police, talking to the drug dealers, and also talking to the people in between who live there. Another way is the person who presented this or went to film. This wasn't made by someone who was Brazilian, and so it's already got that kind of non-biased perspective to it, that they're going in kind of clean, not knowing as much, and they're finding out so they can bring it back and tell us what's going on. Whereas if it was someone there, they would say, I want to go specifically to that place at that time, because we can put all these things through that people don't know about, and give it that kind of that biased perspective. As well as this, it's the local citizens as well, because this is as much about it's more about the society of Brazil rather than the drugs. One problem I had was that as soon as you watch the video, it goes straight into that looking into the drugs in Brazil, as opposed to looking at the whole society as one. But it does give you that perspective. And then also it uses stats as well. I think people with numbers, they're inclined to using kind of speeches and whatnot, because it sounds they sound strong in your argument, and that they say only 34 out of 1,000 favelas or slums have been pacified, or what the police mean is that they've been turned into these peaceful places. Which it gives it that kind of extra piece of evidence. But this, in the bad perspective, it's only partially truthful, because there was a lot more time talking to the drug people, because they had 1 or 2 minutes. They would say that they spent 7 weeks maybe trying to get hold of these drug people to talk to before they were actually landed in. Whereas the police, they just kind of followed them a little bit, and they only talked to maybe one officer, but they didn't find out from all these kind of officers up the hierarchy. And it presents it from a kind of news perspective and not a individual perspective. On the other side of what I was saying about the presenter and the journalist, is that he knows what he wants to present, and so he goes in there already knowing what he wants to look at, and so he will have pinpointed these places saying, I want to go and talk to them, I want to go and talk to them about all of this, what's going on, and so he will look for these specific things, making it more biased in terms of there will be things that are left out. Notably it doesn't go into talking about how much Brazil spent on the World Cup, and also only about 60% of the Brazilian population actually want Brazil to win the World Cup, and all of these the riots and people dying. It also, at one point, it features this a kind of a news / journalist perspective of someone whose body is found in the morning after it says that he'd been killed by kind of a drug gang. He'd been in the middle of an argument with a drug gang. And if that wasn't going to back up his his case, his argument, he wouldn't have thrown that into the footage, because it is, when you say that, it makes it's a very serious situation, but just as for someone who's not there, saying that makes it a lot more just kind of surreal. So that would have been included if it wasn't going to back up his case. And as I was saying earlier, the presenter wanted to find, he was only specifically looking into the one side of Brazil, when there are two sides, this side that's trying to promote for the World Cup and the Olympics soon as well. So in order to make it better, I would have spent more time talking to the police, because it's only cool that we heard a lot from the drug dealers, but not much time was spent talking to the police. They only talked to one or two citizens about their opinion on the police, and their opinion on the society. So it was very narrow in finding that social perspective, which was annoying, because we are talking about Brazil as a society and not kind of small aspects like the police and the whatever. And so we want to find out about it as a whole, but we're only finding out these small aspects because it's not delving into the right, to the right people, or getting as much information from them as possible. And then the video obviously wants to exploit Brazil's favelas and its drug underworld. So it's deliberately, looking at its bad points. But I think it's a little truthful in what it says, but overall I think that it's not a very kind of true documentary or short video through everything that it, as a whole, it doesn't give us as much as we would like to. It only delves into that small kind of drug and police aspect as opposed to everything else outside.
Brilliant. Good stuff, thank you, Archie. Right, any questions for Archie, please?
Are you sure they, in the video, they exploit, or do they expose?
I think they expose it, really. I think they talk to the drug people in a more kind of quite a relaxed, calm environment. Just talking to them about their process and what's going on, and they're not talking to them about why do you do this. Who understands all of the kind of the pressures of what experience have you had during this, if you've had any family deaths over the years and things like this. So it kind of, in that way, it kind of just puts it straight on, and so that it's going on, but it doesn't. You don't get the opinion of them as much. What you hear from the people doing the drugs is only really what they think of the police, and so it's a short. It's quite small in terms of what we find out from them. So.
Brilliant. Great. Okay, could you stop that recording, please, Archie?